Hello, this is Nick over here. This is my first podcast on YouTube and I could not be more excited. So today's topic is a really interesting and controversial topic. It's also a very misunderstood topic. So that's why I want to dive right in. So let's get to it. So this is a topic that really excites me because I'm a big fan of it. And also it's a theme where I see a lot of people bullshitting themselves. And I notice there's a lot of misunderstanding around the subject. And this is self-love in order to transform or change things within yourself. So it's funny because some people would say this statement is absolutely nuts. If you love yourself and you accept yourself, then you don't want to change yourself. But then isn't that part of the human evolution? Growing and evolving and transforming ourselves. So I was having a really funny conversation with a friend, and we were talking about what is that one thing that makes you want to change. And he said, well, dude, in order for you to want to change, you have to reach a point where you hate yourself enough that you want to make a change. And I said, interesting. That's an interesting point of view. I mean, I can understand where he's coming from. But I said, no, dude, you need to love yourself enough in order to want to change. And he said, no, because, that's bullshit. What you girls are saying about self-love and self-acceptance and just being like, oh my God, I love myself so much that I just accept me as I am, even though I'm obese. So I'm just going to eat a chocolate cake. And I mean, it's a pretty extreme example. And I am not in any way making fun of people. I've been there. I've been in, overweight. I have family members who are overweight. I feel for people who are overweight, especially because I've been there and it really fucking sucks. And here is where self-love becomes really important because, and this is what I explained to him, self-love is not about bullshitting yourself, like, oh yeah, I love myself so much that I'm not going to be hard on myself. I deserve some French fries. No, dude, when you love yourself, you love your true self. It's not about like the external stuff. It's not about your physical appearance. Your physical appearance will just be a reflection of your inner state, right? And this also applies to your actions and your development in your career and in your relationships. They will just be reflections of your inner world. So only when you love yourself enough, you can catch yourself bullshitting yourself. And when you love yourself enough, you can recognize and say, no, wait a moment, I deserve better than this. I deserve better than giving into food that is going to do me bad. I deserve better than being in a relationship that just drains me and is toxic. And I get the point of what he was saying of you need to get to a point where you hate yourself enough to want to change. I understand where that comes from. However, if you change from a place of hate, it's not sustainable in the long run because what's happening is when you hate yourself enough that you want to make a change, it's a big motivator. I'm going to tell you that. It is a big motivator. It is going to motivate you even more than just self-love. That's a fact. Like, if you get to a point where you're just fed up, you're exhausted, you are disgusted by yourself, then that will push you to make a change. That's for sure. That will push you. That's a great motivator. But how can I say that? If you stay stuck in that, you will not have forgiven yourself. You will be vibrating at a frequency of disgust, repugnance, guilt, And these are like the lowest frequency vibrations there are. So what happens is if you're in a state of loathing, you will just want to walk away from that part of yourself, or you're just going to try to walk away from certain behaviors. But anything that is not that is going to be better. So it's going to be really easy to just settle into whatever next thing is not that. But if you combine them, if you get to a point where you hate yourself and you're disgusted by yourself and you are not happy with yourself, that's going to motivate you to make a change. But when you make that change, that is when you also have to start kicking in this self-love, this recognition of your sovereign being, right? This sovereignty that lives within every one of us. We are all divine beings. We all have light inside of us. We all have God inside of us. We are all so much more than just this human flesh. So when you recognize that, and when you're able to recognize like, wow, yeah, I've fucked up many times, but also I have done such great things. I have got to where I am right now because I've had the resilience to go through all the craziness, all the chaos, all the obstacles. And if it weren't for me, then I wouldn't be here, and like being grateful for that. And also, here's where it comes, like that self-acceptance. That doesn't mean you just have to accept yourself as you are and stay there. Like those people that are just like, oh yeah, I'm possessive and I'm jealous because I'm a Scorpio. So, that's just me. No, dude, you can't use astrology to justify your toxic patterns. Like, sure, that can give you insight on what's present inside of you, and then you can work on it. So it's the same thing. It's, okay, I recognize that I am in this state right now. I'm in patterns of toxicity or lying or jealousy or possessiveness, or I feel insecure about myself, or I'm afraid that I'm never going to be good enough. All these things. When you accept that, then you can move forward. So that's what self-acceptance is all about. It's about recognizing and having the humility of saying, okay, yeah, I know I'm not fucking perfect, and like admitting it to the core, but instead of suppressing yourself because of it and talking shit to yourself because of it, saying, okay, this is me. These are the things that are happening inside of me and I don't like them and I would like to change them. So recognizing, I wouldn't say self-hate, but like that, seeking that transformation. And then that's where the self-love comes in, right? You know that you are worthy of so much more than that. You know that you are worthy of living a happier life, a more fulfilled life, a more harmonious life with better communication in your relationships. You deserve more peace. You deserve more clarity of mind, more stability. You deserve better than what is going on right now. And why do you deserve that? Because you're worthy of it. Because you are meant for great things. So that's where the self-love comes in. So then that self-love is not just going to take you from this thing that you don't like, that you run away from, to whatever next thing is not that is going to be better. But this self-love is going to propel you forward to this big vision and dream of yours. So that's the difference between where self-hate will get you and where self-love will get you. Okay, and when I started saying this thing about when you love yourself deeply, it's not like on an external level. It's not like, oh yes, I love you, look at you, you have blue eyes, you're beautiful. No, I don't say that to myself in the mirror. Like, sure, I can say that. I know I'm beautiful, I know I'm pretty, but like, so fucking what? Anyone can be pretty. Anyone, literally. You can be born pretty, and if you're not born pretty, you can just put a lot of shit on your face or get surgery or whatever. Anyone can be physically pretty. But you know what makes a person beautiful is that this radiation that comes out, this radiance and brilliance that comes out of their being, because their soul is beaming this beauty. And what really makes a person beautiful is having this genuine sense of worthiness towards himself, having this genuine and pure good intention, and this motivator of pure self-love, genuine self-love, not the one you say like, oh, I'm gonna go to the gym because I love myself. So, I fucking hate this belly fat. I fucking hate this. I fucking hate that. So I'm just gonna restrict myself. I'm not gonna eat anything. I'm just gonna have an apple a day and do like, I don't know, burn 1,000 calories at the gym. That's not self-love. Self-love is treating your body with respect. Self-love is showing you tough love. Self-love is that being that parent that you maybe had or you maybe didn't have for you. Having that parent that you need in your life. Everything that you wish your mom or your dad did, or anything that you really admire about them, that's how you should be towards yourself. Let's take into account that your parents or your role models, your guardians, your authority figures are the people that you modeled as a kid. So you basically learned everything from them. And, then you grew up and you absorbed some things through your culture and your friends. And maybe if you did some work, you have done the inner work and you found yourself. But up to some level, we are programmed and wired to be, to some extent, like these people that we modeled. So we are all going to have things that we like about these role models, and we're all going to have things that we don't like about them. So everything we don't like about them, it's not about judging them. It's about actually thanking them and being like, oh, hey, thank you. I realize I don't like this. And if I hadn't had this in my life, I wouldn't know that I didn't like it. So thank you for giving me that as a child so that I don't have to have more encounters with these horrible patterns in my adult life to know that I don't like it. I know I don't like it because I had it as a kid. So thank you very much for being that asshole that taught me I don't like that. And then you can just let it go and forgive. So that's one thing, but going back to the self-love, when you love yourself genuinely and purely, and the reason why I'm even talking about this is because I've heard so much people like saying, people say you should love yourself. And it's all fun and games and it's all words, but no one really teaches you how to do it. And really, it's not something that you can teach with words. It's more like you can give people exercises or you can explain some things to people, and then people can implement habits and practices in their own lives to then embody this self-love. Because self-worth and self-love is not something you go out searching for. It is something that you recognize already lives within you. You just got disconnected from it. So it's about connecting back to that part of you that lives inside of you. So a really easy way to do this is thinking about you as a child. When you were a child, you were pure and genuine and innocent. And we go back to the same thing of like being your own parent. So if you think about your inner child and you think about what that beautiful kid deserves, self-love is about accepting where you're at right now as an adult and accepting, oh my God, I have all these fucked up patterns. I have all these terrible habits, and that kid over there does not deserve it. So self-love is not about saying, oh yeah, poor me, poor victim. I deserve that chocolate cake. I deserve not exercising because it's boring and I sweat. Ew. No, dude, it's about saying, wow, okay, this kid has a human body and this kid needs to be properly nourished so that the body functions well. This kid needs movement because it has a lot of energy. So it has to move, whether it's exercise or dance or like just jumping around, whatever they want to do, but they need some movement. And also, yeah, the kid needs to develop their brain and do mental activities that stimulate them, but they also need leisure time and time to rest. It can't all just be work, 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 work. They need to have fun. And it can't be just all fun, 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 fun. They also need to be responsible. And it's like teaching a kid how they need to live life. That is self-love. It's literally being your own parent and not necessarily the parent that you saw growing up from your guardians or parent figures. It's about being that parent that maybe you never had, or grabbing onto some qualities that you really admired from your role models, but also implementing new ones that maybe you lacked. And then a really beautiful example of self-love is when I was a kid. I don't know, I was maybe like 5 years old or younger. And my aunt, we were super close. We were like this. My aunt used to smoke, and and I hated when she smoked. I hated it. And she had just bought a pack of cigarettes. She went out, she comes back home, and oh, little Nicole is just tearing the cigarettes apart and flushing them down the toilet. My aunt's like, those were new. What is wrong with you? I just bought them. And I was like, well, I hate that you smoke. Smoking is bad for you. So I'm just throwing them away. I'm doing you a favor. And she was pissed. She was so pissed. And I can understand why she was pissed. But that didn't take the love she had for me away. If anything, it made her love me more. Because she recognized that it was coming from a pure good intention of like, I genuinely want what is best for you. Right? Because I love you. And that's why I think it's so different when a kid does something to us that when an adult does something, because sometimes, like, if my mom had done that to her sister, she would have probably been pissed. And she would have been like, fuck you, and, maybe she would have forgiven her because she would know that it comes from good intentions, but it's different when a kid does it than when an adult does it. Why is that? Why do you think that is? Well, a kid is genuine. A kid has pure intentions, and if a kid loves you, every action that they do will be out of pure love. So it's easier to forgive. It's easier to let go of that anger because it is purely for your goodness or your well-being. Now, if an adult does something to like prevent you from doing a bad habit or whatever, chances are you might not forgive them at all, or it might take you a longer time. Why? Because adults, either they have their own agenda as to why they're doing it, so it's not genuine. They are getting something out of it. Or also, it could be that adults they're biased. They have this idea of how reality should be like. So maybe in their map of the world, something is not right, but for you it is right. So when they come and they try to stop you, they're kind of like imposing their beliefs onto you, and that's not okay. So you see, it's not genuine. So using that as a metaphor for self-love, when you are doing something out of self-love, but you're doing it to fill in someone else's expectations, whether that's society or your friends or your culture, and it's not really what you want, you ain't gonna forgive that. That part of you will be pissed. It will be pissed at you. And it will do everything to sabotage that. And that's why when people trying to lose weight, and I just use weight because it's a really concurrent theme that goes really well hand in hand with self-love. When people try to lose weight just because they're disgusted by themselves and they just want to have these bodies of what they see on TV, for example, it's not sustainable. Maybe they will get to those results because they will have the calorie deficit and they will be working out, but chances are they'll probably feel like shit on the inside. And if they stop dieting, they will go back to how they were. Because the body is just a representation of what's going on inside. So if someone wants to make a real change, it has to be starting from the inside. And when that change comes from self-love and being like, I recognize that the weight that I'm in right now is not healthy. And my being deserves to be healthy. It deserves to feel good, to feel light, to have agility and flexibility. So I'm going to work out and I'm going to eat properly because I love myself. Then you will get to those results and they will last. They will be sustainable. So if you make a change, make sure you're doing it for the kid version of you. Make sure you're doing it for yourself and you're not doing it to fill in or tick those boxes of someone else's opinion. Because if you do that, it will be like the adult imposing shit onto you, which then will make you angry and sabotage yourself. But if you do it out of pure loveness and kindness for your own self, then it will be sustainable and you'll be able to get pissed, but forgive, let go. Because self-love is also about showing yourself tough love. If we're talking about being your own parent, it's not like you're just going to allow anything. You're not going to bullshit yourself. On the contrary, you're probably going to have to do things you don't like. You're going to have to be responsible. You're going to have to be uncomfortable because you can't change if you're in your comfort zone. That's just part of the game. But a really useful tool is when you're making a change in yourself, connect with that inner child inside of you. Literally just close your eyes and see yourself as a kid. And if you have problems visualizing stuff, you can literally just search for an image, ask your parents, or if you have an image of yourself, just have that photo around you. You can have it in your camera roll, you can put it on your lock screen. So you seeing that child reminds you of why you're doing this, because that innocent, genuine, pure, loving part of you deserves the best. All right, so I hope this is useful to you guys, and I hope if you're in that state of hating yourself, you're able to acknowledge that. Also, don't ignore it, because any emotion that we feel towards ourselves essentially has a good intention, right? So that good intention could be just simply kicking you out of the place you're in right now, and that's totally valid. And just say, hey, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you for showing me this. Thank you for pushing me. Now I am ready to take on a different role to make this change sustainable. All right, so if you are in that place of self-loathing, good, that will get you out of where you're in. But then you need a bigger motivator that will really propel you to this big dream of yours that you totally deserve. All right, so if you have any questions, please drop them in the comment section, and I will see you here next time. Thank you so much for being here.